Hey guys, you're tuning in to the grand finals of the Rappler Gaming League's online invitational for League of Legends. I hope you're not sick of me yet because once again for this week, I'm Tessawu and I'm gonna be your play-by-play shoutcaster.
And I'm Taknum and I'll give you the in-depth analysis of the game.
So guys, we started off with 8 teams from major universities in the Philippines and now we're down to 2.
These 2 teams will be fighting for the major grand prize of 20,000 pesos, with the first runner-up getting 10,000 pesos for a total prize pool of 30,000 pesos in this tournament.
That is a hefty sum. Now guys, we're gonna be showing you feature videos entitled Beyond the Rift, just so you can get to know these players a little bit better right now. And now these videos are going to be shown, and the first team we're going to be showing you is the Ateneo de Manila University's Azure Eagles.
My brother's the mid laner for Minaski. I look up to him because I also play games. So whenever I looked at my brother playing on the big stage, yeah, maybe that's the kind of inspiration I get.
Oh, they know I play games. Like, games are my life. So they kind of already, like, they have an underlying thing that they already understand. So they support me in it actually.
Towards the end of season 3, I began to felt burnout. So that's why I semi-retired from the competitive scene. I just didn't feel the game anymore back then. I remember a quote from Loco Doco where saying, if you don't feel sad or angry or any emotion when you lose, then probably means that it's time for you to retire. Back then, I didn't feel anything.
You have to get your priorities straight. If you don't enjoy it, just don't do it.
There's 2 tracks in interdisciplinary studies. One of them is economics and one of them is psych. I asked my friend, who is now a teacher in the high school at Ateneo, like, what do you think is bagay for me? And then he gave me 2 options. He said, economics or communication. If you prefer to have like a desk job or whatever, get economics. If you prefer to like go out and like speak to people, get communication. And I said, I just wanted to chill at my desk job and then like use that to pay for my hobbies and spend time with friends and family, I guess. So I just picked economics.
Pursue a gaming career? Probably not. Honestly speaking, the competitive scene in the Philippines is not yet ready.
From my currently competitive team, which is the Team Celestials. We're currently in the finals for the PGS qualifier, so we're a couple wins away from auto qualifying to be part of the current top 8 PGS team. Currently a green card holder, so I'm not quite sure yet of my near future.
Around 2 years ago, I actually wanted to go pro. Now, it's 50-50. Like, when the opportunity presents itself, I'll take it. But if not, I won't chase for it.
So yeah, maybe if something were to happen, like they recruit me or something, then yeah.
And of course, that's the dream. I hope there's still like a chance because I know like there's a certain age at which like players fall. I don't know. As long as like, if I can, I will. There.
Standing up a mile high, will you fall to give me strength? I can see a reason to try to fight for meaning, but you give me reason to know I still have meaning. I can feel you reaching through all the hard
So that was the video of the Azure Eagles.
Pretty good video in my opinion.
So if you guys want to, we're gonna show the next video, which is for the Viridis Arcus of LaSalle. It's gonna be so that you guys can have more association with the players that you're watching in this game. So let's take a look.
I've played for Manila Eagles in 2012, so I've also competed in the Garena Premier League So I've played with Toys and all those other pro players.
Yeah, they're very supportive of me right now because they see me at stage usually, and then my dad sees me at stream, and then he's like, oh wow, my son is actually doing something out of gaming instead of staying home just playing. At least I'm able to make something out of it.
Started playing mid. Around 2012, I got top 3 in rankings in the Philippine scene, and started dropping ever since because I started focusing more on studies.
But we're as busy as ever because of our, work thesis and working and graduating period. I don't really see myself as pursuing a pro gaming career, so I already have other plans in mind.
It was a department in my on-the-job training. I was under the nuclear medicine department, and they showed me how they did diagnosis and how they did treatment. And I was really impressed that they were able to treat patients without directly touching them because they were using radiation to cure the patients, to treat them. And I think that's what I want to do. That feels like something that I want to do in the future.
So after my master's, I intend to take the board exams for chemical engineering. And then after that, I'm not really sure if I will be teaching or if I will continue with my PhD.
Yeah, I'm gonna pursue it as long as I can, and then if I can't get anything out of it, then I'll have to work because I'm about to graduate also, so I'll be able to focus on gaming full time. But that is my last already because after this term I will be graduating, so I won't be able to play anymore in the LCL or if there are future Rappler collegiate.
Probably this will be my last tournament.
Hey guys, so we're going to go straight into the pick and bans for the first match of the grand finals of the Rappler Gaming League's online invitational for League of Legends. Just to remind you guys, this is going to be a best out of 5. And we see that the Azure Eagles ban the Elise, the Tom Kench, and the Twisted Fate. And the bans coming in from, or the Twisted Fate rather, and coming in from the De La Salle University's Viridis Arcus, they have banned the Riven, the Fiora, and the Gangplank. Literally, almost all the great top lane champions that you can play right now in the meta. How are you feeling right now about the bans?
AZE, when you can see the bans from AZE, Elise, and Tom Kench, these are most probably targeted bans on Skirtle because we've noted how he usually plays these top tier junglers, and even Tom Kench is one of Skirtle's personal favorites. He uses it often because he has a lot of the annoyance factor of a Nunu and somewhat of the mobility of a Rek'Sai. So he's one of these junglers that are hard to predict and have strong pressure also. So they want to take that away from him.
Exactly. Guys, if you aren't familiar yet, Skirtle is actually Rebenga, and he is one of the legends and a veteran of the PGS and Philippine League of Legends history. And because of that, his champion pool as a jungler is severely wide. So I am not surprised that they are trying to target ban him with the Tom Kench, a personal favorite, and Elise, who is considered to be one of the champions in the S tier jungling pool. Now we see that Azure Eagles have locked in the Braum, the Jinx, and the Darius, and they're going to be hovering over their last 2 picks. The 4 picks coming in from the DLSU's Viridis Arcus are the Lulu, the Rek'Sai, the Thresh, and the Mordekaiser. Now, one thing I want to point out is the fact that there were no targeted bans coming in from Viridis Arcus against Tenno's Jinx. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Jinx has been the only champion that Tenno has been playing as the ADR of the Azure Eagles throughout this online tournament. How do you feel about that?
I think they really want to priority ban the really strong top laners in this meta. Of course, I think the banning the Jinx is gonna be a better strategy since we've seen Tenno play hugely around the Jinx pickup in the duration of this tournament. Also, I want to note from Viridis Arcus is this Mordekaiser pickup, which we've seen being
They have
banned
done it,
a
guys.
lot in Worlds, right? In Worlds, it's been banned almost every game, and we can see how powerful it is right now. So the only weakness Mordekaiser has is that he can't get into those targets, but with the Lulu's Whimsy and the ult.
All the utility that the Lulu has as the top lane champion of Viridis Arcus. Now, you and I had a conversation about whether or not Viridis Arcus will use a ban against Tenno's Jinx, and I predicted that they wouldn't. I know you recommended that they should, but here's the thing. Obviously, the Azure Eagles wants to do a tried and tested team composition to protect the Jinx comp. But the thing is, obviously, predictability doesn't necessarily negate how successful your team composition is. But you have to take into consideration that certain precautions are going to be made by your enemy. And I think that is what Viridis Arcus is doing now. Especially with the Rek'Sai being able to tunnel and get to the backline. And I don't think Viridis Arcus is afraid of Tenno's Jinx.
Yeah, at this point, it seems that Viridis Arcus isn't actually afraid of the Jinx since they didn't actually make a team comp that specifically tries to shut down the immobile Jinx hypercarry in the late game. If you look at their team comp, they're mostly focusing around damage and utility with a little bit of poke. So they want to match the Azure Eagles in a lot of these skirmishes without necessarily focusing on specific players in their team.
Don't get me wrong, I was expecting champions that would reach the backline more of the Azure Eagles. So that's going to be an interesting game because I didn't expect it to turn out like this in the event that they did not target ban the Jinx. So now the last two champion picks for the Azure Eagles are the Victor and oh, it's surprising, they have a Nocturne jungle, and now we can do a couple of things for you guys right now. And I want to get away some shout outs that I've seen throughout the Twitch chat box. So I want to shout out to Dominic Alcantara, St. Andrews Parañaque, and Syndicate from Cebu. And there's these two users that have been chatting quite a lot on the chat box. I can't see it now, but to TrapLord16 and happy birthday to Mark17 Calaro. So I hope you're having a really good day today and I hope you do enjoy the show. Now guys, if you want to check out recaps and highlights from this game and all the other matches that we've had throughout the RGL's online invitational for League of Legends, please check out Rappler.com.
Yeah, all the videos of this stream and even the previous videos of highlights and even upcoming videos are all going to be shown in the Rappler site. So don't forget to follow that page and check out once in a while to see new content.
So despite the fact that this is going to be the last match of this online tournament, the Rappler Gaming League has so many things planned. So a lot of things in store for you guys. So if you want to keep up to date with all of this news, please like and share the Rappler Gaming League's Facebook page. Also, follow Rappler on its Twitter account for any and all important local and international news, and subscribe to the Rappler.com's Twitch channel.
And if you guys want to submit any content for Rappler, you can always go to x.rappler.com, which shows a lot of, which gives you the ability to share your written content to the Rappler, and we might publish it, and it gives it a lot of opportunity for you to share it with the League of Legends community.
And not even necessarily League of Legends, guys. So anything game related. So examples of these could be guides to certain games that you really enjoyed. Game reviews, I think, are really important. People are interested in it. I know I look at game reviews before I buy a new game, and even meta-analysis for mobile games. It doesn't even have to be League of Legends. It could be Dota 2 and anything of the like. And guys, if you have any more shout-outs that you want me or Taknum to do for you guys, just ask it on the Twitch channel chat box. Also, if you have any questions for me or Taknum, any fun questions, think of an example just so they get inspired.
Like a few weeks ago, there was a question on the chat box that asked, what was the background music playing during the tournament? So any question under the sun, we'll try to answer those questions during the stream.
I think a fun topic would be about the 2015 World Championship. You can ask us what team we're rooting for, and you can even tell us who you are rooting for. Because to be honest, I am curious to see as to which teams have your loyalty. And now we're going to be loading onto the Summoner's Rift and see who between the Ateneo de Manila University Azure Eagles versus the De La Salle Viridis Arcus, and who between them are going to be the first Grand Championship winners of this online invitational match.
Yeah.
Do you have any expectations right now, Taknum? Feel free to give some of your own.
I actually want Ateneo to win in this game, especially since their journey has been a little bit rough, not necessarily in terms of gameplay, but they had a lot of roster swaps in the start of this tournament, and now they're sort of more comfortable with the roles that they want to occur. So I want to see how they play out. Hopefully they're more comfortable with the roles that they have right now.
In case you guys didn't know, Tenno serves as the mid laner for the Azure Eagles during their LCL championships. But for the RGL Online Invitational, he actually had to swap as the ADR. So that's the roster change that Taknum was mentioning earlier, and that's why you're rooting for them.
Definitely.
Well, I'm not rooting for any specific team, but I am expecting, if I had to put my bet on a team, I'm expecting De La Salle University Viridis Arcus to win. And I think one of the reasons why I'm expecting them to win is because, for one, to be objective, they didn't have to suffer roster change difficulties. And the fact that they're also friends in real life. And I think that bond will definitely translate into their gameplay and strategies towards the game and throughout the game. And not to mention all the experience that Skirtle, or as you may know him as Rebenga, has as a veteran in the PGS and LCL, will definitely not only serve him as a solo player, but that experience will help him and his teammates throughout all the matches we're going to have today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a definitely exciting game. You can't also discount Celestial Mikos, who recently got into the PGS qualifiers with his team, the Celestials, and also Zen is such a cutie who used to be from Naga Esports. So this is definitely gonna be a really exciting game.
So you cannot discount all the hard work that they've been putting in to get into PGS. So I feel like it's going to be a battle between the veterans and the newcomers, if you were to think of it that way.
Yeah, and looking from their comp, it seems like both sides have quite different strategies on what they want to do in this game, and we'll just have to see how each side executes their strategy.
So obviously, from the Azure Eagles, we have a Protect the Jinx comp, I would say, and they're going to want to take it late game and use her as the late game hyper carry that she was practically designed to be.
I actually think that Ateneo shifted their playstyle a bit because aside from the Braum, a lot of their members don't have much peeling power, and this Nocturne pick is basically saying I want to make these picks in the mid game
and engage,
and engage, starting off a snowball for their team later on into the game. And it's not usually what we see from Ateneo, unlike the previous games where they really were
had a lot of peel. They had the Gragas, they had the Janna.
They were prioritizing Tenno on that Jinx for the late game, and we'll just have to see how well Fupi does on this carry top laner and how Zen does on even a carry jungler.
Actually, that's one thing you pointed out that I agree with completely. Both the team comps of Viridis Arcus and Azure Eagles are a little bit strange in my opinion, because when I saw the Jinx, I was expecting a Protect the Jinx comp. But since you noted all the other champions in their roster, it's a little bit different from what I expected in terms of what is formulaic. And I think it's very in your face, especially with the Nocturne and the Darius, and even the Victor, when he lands a stun, it gives him the opportunity just to pile on the rest of his abilities. And now I want to move into the Viridis Arcus. The Viridis Arcus team composition. Now, you see, we have the Lulu, so she's going to be of great utility for the carries of the rest of their team. And we have the Rek'Sai that I said that between all of the members will probably be the only champion in their arsenal that will be able to reach the backline if need be with the burrow and unburrowing.
Yeah, I actually think that the Azure Eagles have to shift a lot of their gold priority towards a little bit more to the top laner and to the mid laner rather than the ADR for this particular game, because they're the ones who are gonna be fending off the slow front line of LaSalle. Since they don't have that much heavy engage, the clashes are gonna come from the front, slowly ending up to the back line. And if they manage to deal with that, they'll win the game. But if the front line overwhelms their front line, then it's gonna be harder for them.
And now we see that the teams have just started out. Now, I want to point out the ADRs from both the teams right now. So, like I mentioned before, Tenno actually serves as the mid laner for the Azure Eagles during their LCL matches. But now, it's different because he's playing an ADR. And if I'm not mistaken, Jinx is supposedly, the only ADR that he is well equipped with. So we're going to see if he can handle the pressure against Akos Panalo, who has a wider range of ADRs.
So if you look at these stats, we see Tenno having the stats are relatively equal, with Tenno having a 79% attack ratio and 80% for Akos Panalo. So even though Tenno has been showing up hugely on this Jinx, we can't underrate Akos Panalo, who's also been performing a lot in these games.
And see, that's one of the reasons why the Jinx wasn't banned, because I know you assumed that they would ban the Jinx, but I completely predicted that they would not waste a ban on the Jinx.
It's not like giving them the Jinx means an instant loss, right? They do want to prioritize the other ban picks like Fiora. However, I think it would be easier for them to take that away from him.
And now Skirtle, who is the jungler of Viridis Arcus, wanted instead to probably ban a lot of the OP top lane champions instead of prioritizing the Jinx, the priority Jinx ban on the Tenno.
Yeah, and if we look at the stats of the top laners, the top laners have really similar records actually, with their CS and gold per minute being pretty similar with each other. However, it seems like LaSalle has a higher kill participation than Ateneo in terms of this top lane.
Oh yeah, so we can take a look at the stats for that, because I know you mentioned how this game is going to be really reliant on the top lane champion. So let's take a look at some of the stats to see how these top laners and how they serve for their team. We see Fupi, who is the top laner for the Azure Eagles, and General Articuno, who is the top laner for Viridis Arcus.
Yeah, so you can see the 79. Oh, but that has to wait because Tenno actually gets caught in the bot lane, receives a lot of damage, and first blood does go to Thresh. They're chasing down the Braum. Celestial Miko's running for his life, but he gets flayed back, and the teleport is being channeled by the top laner. As a response, he does hit the Winter's Bite, and it seems like they're countering, engaging, but he's going way too low. The flash does blow, and he does get hooked. It seems like Fupi will die. He forces the flash, and that's a win in terms of trades to Viridis Arcus.
Not only did Viridis Arcus get that first, but they were able to blow 2 summoner spells from Fupi, both his teleport and his flash, and they almost got the kill. So that definitely was a win in their favor. Now, I want to go back and quickly talk about the top laners for both of these teams, because Fupi is actually known to have a really on-point teleport response, but it just did not connect. I feel like they weren't able to peel enough of the damage from both of the bot laners from Viridis Arcus properly, such that even though he was able to chunk their life really low, he wasn't able to finish the deal.
Oh, but Skirtle is getting ganked in mid lane. Oh, but he decides to back off.
Just a little bit of a Prey Seeker love.
Yeah, and I guess this is why Viridis Arcus was confident in not banning the Jinx.
I told you they wouldn't ban it.
Even though that the Jinx is really strong, they do manage to have the tools to deal with her right now.
So let's see what some of the members have to think about their enemy players.
Biggest weakness of Jinx is that she has low mobility, so most likely will be able to either shut her down early game or pick a composition, a hard engaged composition, which will render him not be as effective as he was able with the teams before.
So we see, like, I didn't see this video prior to it being shown, but that's one of the reasons why. And we see there is a gang going at bottom, and they were able to land both the death sentence and the play, and there is nothing left for Tenno, and he is experiencing a second death and tripped to the grave.
Yeah, it seems like they are able to shut down this Jinx, like Skirtle was talking about in that video. He shows that Jinx is really strong in the late game, but she does have legitimate weaknesses. Like we saw, she had no escape, and once she got caught, she was just chain CC'd to death.
That is what you have to give up or compromise when you play Jinx during the late phase. Because yes, she is a late game hyper carry, but you have to take into consideration the fact that she is considered to be one of the least mobile AD carry champions in the League of Legends champion pool, because with the exception of her Chomper, she essentially has no escape abilities, and they are punishing the Azure Eagles for relying on the Jinx as their only AD carry that they played throughout this RGL online invitational so far. And that's why Skirtle picked Rek'Sai, because Rek'Sai is really known to be effective in early ganking with the burrowing, with the tunneling, and the unburrowing.
Yeah, and right now we can see Viridis Arcus leading in terms of gold just in 6 minutes into this game, having 2 kills, and all those kills are from Jinx's death, so it is gonna set back Jinx's massive late game while increasing Mordekaiser's insane mid-game power spike.
But one thing I do want to take note of is Skirtle was able to get a successful gank at bot lane, but we can see that Zenith Such a Cutie is farming really hard as the Nocturne right now. He is up at least 12 CS over Skirtle at this point, and despite the fact that they did lose 2 kills, he might be able to make up for that later on by possibly acting like a carry. But we see there is a rotation going on at bot lane, and I think they want a 3rd kill on that Jinx.
Yeah, smart rotation here. They didn't go to the tri-burst because they know it was warded, and now the engage occurs.
And this is a 5-man gank with a teleport coming in from the Lulu, but it might not even matter, and the kill was secured by Tristram, and both the bot laners of Azure Eagles did perish. Then Such a Cutie tries to make up for the death of his fallen team member, and he was able to secure a kill, but he does die in the process, so it was a 2-for-1 trade, and King of Motos trying to do as much damage as he can to the living members of Viridis Arcus, but to no avail because he will be punished. Will the tower be able to kill Skirtle? Will he be able to? No! In a way, so that ends up becoming a relatively equal trade with that last dive.
That was an insane clash. Hopefully we'll get to see a replay on how exactly Viridis Arcus managed to tower dive them, and here it is. So we can see that they are tower diving with Skirtle flashing for the engage, and then once the aggro switches, he actually dies here, but it was really close.
It was really close. Now I really do want to point out, oh, and there was another kill coming in, and General Articuno was able to kill Zenith Such a Cutie throughout that match. And we see another replay coming in that was just shown a while ago. We see King of Motos did die, but he managed to get a kill onto Skirtle. Now, I want to talk about the amount of response that was coming in from Viridis Arcus. They were completely aware that Fupi did not have his teleport and did not have his flash. So that prompted General Articuno to use it because they were already making their rotations to bot lane.
I'm not actually sure if the right call from Zen was to engage on that clash on 5 people, especially since Tenno had already died. Since they already lost 1 kill, and they just, in the end of that exchange, they also ended up losing 1 kill. They should have just rotated somewhere else, pushed the advantage somewhere else, like we see a lot in the world stage, wherein even though the gank succeeds, he can take out objectives and that ends up netting them an advantage later on to the game. I think that was a completely wrong call coming from Zen and the other members of Azure Eagles.
Actually, what you can feel free to disagree with me if you want, but I actually think it wasn't necessary from General Articuno to teleport down to bot lane. Because if you remember correctly, it was a 4-man gank at bot lane versus Tenno and Celestial Mikos at bot lane. I actually feel like he didn't need to teleport. I feel like he could have saved it and just kept up on CS versus Fupi. Because right now, because of what happened, Fupi was able to catch up on the CS deficit that he was experiencing because of that fail teleport early on in the game. I felt like Viridis Arcus could have just settled for 2 kills against the Azure Eagles with the 4-man gank that they had and simply called it a day.
Definitely. I also think that in that rotation, King of Motus rotated way too late in going to bot side since he already the other members already set up the 4-man gank. In that situation, you have to act like the gank was a twisted fate teleporting in bot. You can't really react to that gank anyway, so might as well just push out the mid-wave and punish the decision of the enemy team. I mean, in the end, what they got out from that is still -1 kill. So in the end, they should have just pushed their advantage in other lanes instead of trying to go for that 2v5 situation.
I agree with you completely because even if King of Motus reached bot lane, even though he technically got a kill against Skirtle, he died in the process and he could have made it more efficient rather in order just to push out the wave as much as he can and farm up. Because that's the human aspect of League of Legends, deciding what the best course of action is to do. And as much as you want to help your fallen team members, sometimes you have to be more economic in the aspect and think of travel time. I feel like not a lot of people take that into consideration. You waste a lot of time traveling from one point of the map to the next. And one thing I do want to talk to you about is a trend that I expected to see right now in this match that isn't here. I don't know if you guys have been watching the 2015 World Championship right now, but a lot of mid laners have been opting for teleport as their second summoner spell to their flash for a more response to their team.
Yeah.
I expected that actually to be here, but if I'm not mistaken, no teleports here.
Yeah, and a while ago when King of Motus was rotating down bot lane, it wasn't necessarily a bad call to rotate bot lane. The bad call was the timing of the rotation because he already noticed the time gap of the missing mid in a relatively large amount of time. And given that time period, he would have known that rotating bot lane would have already been too late. So might as well shove the advantage in a different lane.
So we see mistakes coming in from both the teams, but in the end, Viridis Arcus did win that clash. And now we see, like I mentioned earlier, Fupi did catch up on his CS against General Articuno.
And it seems like Fupi is doing a lot more damage into this top lane turret, especially trying to punish General Articuno for teleporting down bot lane. He did manage to equalize. Of course, Darius is sort of weaker to a lot of these ranged mids.
He wants to make the trade equal because throughout that clash that we have just seen earlier, Viridis Arcus was able to secure themselves the first tier bot lane turret of the Azure Eagles. But right now, he's trying to back right now and get a few items. And right now, we see that the Dragon has been live for some time now and Viridis Arcus have their eyes set on it.
Yeah, Viridis Arcus really having efficient rotations around the map. Celestial Mikos trying to stop them, but it's not gonna do anything right now. They do pick up the first dragon, and not only are they ahead in dragons, they're also ahead in tower objectives and kills.
So at 9 minutes into the game, they are at least 2k gold lead up on Azure Eagles, and that is considerable at this point. And now we see they are rotating towards the mid lane, and the death sentence does land, and they're able to kill Celestial Mikos, the kill going to Skirtle.
Yeah, they're really trying to punish this Jinx pickup, especially since they already delayed Jinx in the early game. They just want to shove this mid lane because they know Jinx has to farm or else she'll never reach
Oh,
that
and
mid
the
lane.
death sentence lands once again, and a poke coming in from General Articuno securing the kill. And there is nothing that the Azure Eagles can do, and now their first tier mid lane turret has fallen.
And this is why
It's
Mordekaiser.
intense.
This is why Mordekaiser is such a strong pickup. Not only do you have insane amount of damage, but you also have the ability to siege because of that Dragon Pet. So you're not even
Khaleesi once again.
you're not even exchanging it. So here you can see how Mika's dice. It was a perfect thresh hook from Thresh, and it just manages to get them the kill. And it seems like Zen and King of Motus are staying too much with against 5 members. Hits the ult, and he just ends up getting down.
And that death sentence lands once again. So Tristan has been landing those death sentences and those plays perfectly. I don't know if you noticed, but there were a couple of things coming in from the Azure Eagles to mid lane. So they were signaling Fupi to come in and help, but to no avail. They should have backed away from the tower as soon as they could sense that there was no way Viridis Arcus was going to back down. And now their gold lead has increased or almost doubled because they are 18.6k right now versus the 14.8k that Azure Eagles have right now.
And there was no way for Tenno to catch up into that clash also.
Whoa! And Tenno dies to a minion, and that is embarrassing. But maybe we might be able to forget that possibly, because then it's such a cutie. Helped Fupi with a gank, and they were able to kill General Articuno. But oh my goodness, that wasn't even funny.
And here's the replay in top lane. General Articuno getting ganked by Zen's insanely buffed Nocturne ult, which has almost the same range as before.
That was insane. I don't know what to say about that, but right now we see that at least Azure Eagles were able to experience a little bit of global gold coming in from that push at top lane. But I have to say their rotations have been relatively poor compared to that of Viridis Arcus, because they are completely in control of the map and the game right now.
Yeah, I think the Azure Eagles haven't experienced this kind of lane swaps, but that has to wait because there is going to be a clash here.
So Ako si Panalo might be punished right now. There's a teleport coming in from Fupi, and they will secure a kill, and they might get another one with Tristan, and he's trying to escape as much as possible, and he might be forced to burn the flash, and he did, with an ultimate being blown by the virus, and it actually turned around and they were able to get another kill.
That was amazing coming from Varus, seeing how much damage he really does in these clashes. Even though it seemed like the Azure Eagles had the advantage there, they were able to punish them for it, evening out the trade and even getting the top tier turret for it as well.
Exactly. They have just been responding exceptionally throughout this game. At the beginning of that clash, I expected Azure Eagles to win, but they forced the chase and they ended up losing 2 members and only killing one of the members of Viridis Arcus. And right now, Zen is such a cutie, wants to punish his enemy jungler, and now he is on a killing spree. And they might get another kill over Fury Warrior, who is trying to get King of Motus forced to blow his flash, but I think the Winter's Bite was proc, and I think, and there is the Super Mega Death Rocket, but not enough damage coming in. Tristan trying to peel for his teammates as much as possible, and it might possibly work with Fury Warrior taking safety from that territory barrier, and they are going to pursue it, and he gets a double kill with that great skill shot. He is Lancelot, and the death sentence lands, and he might possibly not be content, and it's going to be almost a triple kill because that kill went into Ako si Panalo.
Fiery Warrior is on fire. He managed to avoid a lot of those devastating skill shots, and he was saved by his top laner with that Lulu ult and manages to kite insanely. In this replay, you can see him taking safety beneath the wall, doing a lot of damage while he's completely safe, and this channeling ult just instantly kills both of them at low HP.
And
It's
not
amazing.
only that, Tristan has been piling on perfect death sentences and plays and peeling for the carries of his team, and that's why they've been able to turn around almost every fight that the Azure Eagles have initiated, and it's just been failing significantly for them. And now Dragon is gonna be live in less than a minute, and we think that Viridis Arcus have their eyes set on it. We see a teleport is available for General Articuno, and we see that they have vision on Dragon right now, and no vision coming in from Azure Eagles.
Yeah, again, Azure Eagles just being out-rotated in this game. We see that during that early game when they got the 4-man gank to the bot lane, it quickly transitioned into a mid-game siege, a mid-lane siege, which members couldn't respond to. And because of that, they were able to get the turret and now managing to get positional wards all over the jungle of the Azure Eagles. So they can't even try for a lot of these defensive plays because they have complete vision.
And now, even though they know that Dragon is live right now, Azure Eagles didn't do any rotations in order to even put any vision over Dragon. And that was an easy objective for the Viridis Arcus to secure for themselves at this point.
Well, at the same time, Azure Eagles couldn't do anything to contest that dragon or even get vision. They died just a few moments before that rotation into the dragon pit, and it's so well warded around their jungle that it will be punishing for them to even try to contest it.
Exactly, and now they have their eyes set on the second tier bot turret of the Azure Eagles with the dragon by their side. That is not something to take lightly. And Fury Warrior trying to get in a few more pokes to the backline of the Azure Eagles.
Tenno is already being forced to back, and they still have this Dragon Ghost with them. If they choose to clash, they might win. The Chain of Corruption does land the Braum ultimate, hits almost a lot of people. The Nocturne goes in, tries to get the Varus, but he actually dies in the process.
And Fubi might join them because the Death Sentence and the Flay does land, and King of Motos dies at the safety of his turret. And even though Fubi tried to take down the other low-life members of Viridis Arcus, it just wasn't enough because Tenno was severely far right now, and there is nothing he can do to protect this turret.
Tenno is just way too behind to do any significant damage in this team composition. And the Varus is hitting a lot of these arrows and ult so accurately that it's just putting a huge toll on a lot of the members of AZE. And again, they get the bot side objective of the tier 2 town.
And we see right now, it is 16 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock with the scoreboard, 7 kills for the Azure Eagles and 17 kills for Viridis Arcus. And they're experiencing almost a 10k gold lead at this early on in the game.
It's just gonna get worse on from here. Tenno is so behind in this game. He doesn't even have a single item completed yet, and he was even forced to build that gold income item, the Avarice Blade.
Never a good sign, never a good sign.
So it's gonna delay a lot of his items, and even if he does complete his second item, it's just gonna be a static shiv as opposed to the better late game item, the Phantom Dancer.
Exactly, and we see a couple of things coming in from the Viridis Arcus at mid lane, and they might want to push it as much as they can at this point. And what do you think the Azure Eagles can do at this point in order to get back into the game? Because right now, they've just been a beat behind against the Viridis Arcus.
I think they have to set up more wards in this map, and they have to deny the wards of Viridis Arcus, because the main weakness of this Viridis Arcus comp is that their only form of engage is Thresh and Rek'Sai. If you have vision of them, there's no way they can land all those relatively slow skill shots. And if you see the vision coverage of AZE, it's really low right now, and they most of the
Zen
damage
is such
there.
a cutie, just soloed General Articuno as he was waiting by that bush. And right now, Celestial Mikos might actually die, and he has chunked out of his mind at less than half health.
Pink wards on the river for Viridis Arcus. It's gonna be really hard for AZE to rotate anywhere up. And you see the vision coverage in the map. It's just in that narrow point in that river. That's not gonna be enough. They have to deny vision and add vision. One isn't enough.
So now, their strategy is clear. They want to push out the mid lane as much as possible and prep for that Baron, which is going to be up in less than 2 minutes right now.
So it seems like they're just trying to clear wards. Again, Viridis Arcus trying to establish their dominance in this jungle. They don't care if it is AZE's jungle. At this point in the game, they own it.
They own the jungle right now. And actually, to be perfectly honest, I know you thought that Viridis Arcus was going to ban the Jinx, but that's the thing. Even though predictability doesn't necessarily negate how successful your team composition can be, It was very clear from the beginning that Viridis Arcus was prepared for it, and they punished all the weaknesses that come from relying on Jinx as a late game hyper carry. And how do you do that? You punish and gank her severely early game, and that's what they've been doing since the beginning, and they are reaping the rewards.
Yeah, they were really able to punish Jinx in the early game, severely delaying her items. And Jinx is a champion that really snowballs hard, and right now she's the one that's dying too much.
So Zen is such a cutie, is able to get a shutdown against Fury Warrior, and this is the second solo kill he was able to get for himself. And I mentioned this earlier, that at the beginning of the game, but that'll be a conversation for later, because Zen is such a cutie, might actually be punished for what he did against the mid laner of Viridis Arcus, and it is true. And Tristram getting a lot of kills for himself as the support, but I guess it doesn't matter. A kill is a kill, right?
Again, they didn't have vision on the river, so even he was pushing really far up. But there's gonna be another clash here.
They want more blood. And now, once again, the death sentence and the flay does land, and they're able to not only kill Celestial Mikos, they were able to kill Fupi as well, transformed into one of their own. And now they're getting a turret.
This will be the tower for Viridis Arcus, completely shattering AZE during this early game. They're so dominating.
But King of Motos was able to delete General Articuno with all those skill shots. A little bit of revenge coming in for his team.
I don't think a lot of these solo kills is gonna help them too much though. With the damage coming from Viridis Arcus and the vision coverage they had, it's gonna be really hard for AZE to catch up. Especially in that mid lane, when even though Zen got the first kill, he was still punished for it.
And now there were a few pings coming in from the Azure Eagles on Dragon. I'm pretty sure that they're aware of it, but there's nothing they can do.
And here's the replay from a while ago, and just see how the rotation completely decimated the top laners in this game.
And now Viridis Arcus was able to secure themselves their third dragon of the game, and they might actually be able to take Zen is such a cutie, Skirtle using that tunnel over the wall, and Zen is such a cutie trying his best to take at least one kill, but I don't think he will be able to. When he does, and even the super mega death rocket was sent in as an insurance, it didn't even matter. Fupi, if I'm not mistaken, blew his teleport, but it didn't even matter because he was alone at that point. And now Celestial Mikos might join them to the grave. He might be forced to blow his flash, and will there be a follow-up? I'm not sure. He's trying to run away as best as he can, and he might just be able to escape.
Varus is doing so much damage in this game, and I don't know why Fupi went for that engage, especially since Zen was already dead. He was just trying to get a kill out of it. He managed to do that, but Fupi just went in and ends up giving them an extra kill when it could have been at least just 1-for-1.
Exactly. So not only was that summoner spell blown, it was completely misplaced. He was technically at the backline, but no one of his team members were there to help him for it. And now, right now, Azure Eagles do not want that Baron to go into the hands of Viridis Arcus.
I think this is one of the problems of Philippine teams, is that when they tend to be behind, they prioritize items so much that they try to ignore a little bit of vision because they think that they can catch up through items. But in this game, it seems like Viridis Arcus is denying all these wards and placing a lot of offensive wards that AZE can't even push up their lane. If you look at that, they have no vision in that side of the map, and even the bot side, the rotation there is done. So you don't really need wards there at this point in the game. You have to adapt to where the teams are rotating. If they were in Dragon Pit before and they already got the dragon, you don't need to ward that place that much anymore because the rotation there is done. You have to focus your advantages on other lanes where you can rotate to push your advantage.
So not only do you have to be flexible in terms of your playstyle, but also with your ward coverage, especially taking into account cooldowns for these objectives, because you only have limited wards that you can place on the map, and it's best to use them as wisely as possible.
They had no wards in Baron, but they didn't see King of Motos apparently, and they're doing the clash right now.
And we see the death sentence landing once again, and Celestial Mikos was basically deleted and other members will fall. So now we see that the only two members alive is Tenno, and Zen is such a cutie. Tenno forced to blow his flash just to escape that death sentence. And right now, Viridis Arcus have no qualms about taking the mid inhibitor turret of the Azure Eagles. And it might possibly be the game for them if they decide to pursue it anymore.
Death timers are a little bit too low. They might just get another inhibitor in this game, and I don't think AZE can do anything to stop this. Their members are still dead. They're up in a few seconds, but I think by then it's gonna be too late.
And now there was actually a force engage, but to no avail. We see one kill does go to Tenno, but two of his other members die, and only 3 members of Azure Eagles are left to defend their Nexus turrets.
And they do manage to lose 2 inhibitors. This is gonna be really hard. The rotation is probably gonna be into the Baron Pit right now. Baron Pit right now, since they already got the double inhibitors, super minions are gonna be too hard to take out of the base. And if they try to contest this Baron at this point in the game, they're just gonna lose another turret because super minions in both lanes are gonna be too much. And here is the rotation. There's completely no vision from AZE in that.
I'm pretty sure despite the lack of vision they have on the Baron Pit, they won't be surprised that it's going to fall and become in the hands of the Viridis Arcus. And right now, Baron has been secured, and all they can do right now is defend their base as much as possible because they do not have the freedom to roam anymore, considering the 2 of their inhibitors are down.
Yeah, the shot calling from Viridis Arcus in this game has been on point from the start of this game with that 4-man tower dive. They've been able to consistently punish, deny vision, and push their advantages in the lanes that they have to. AZE is more of a reactive playstyle right now in this game, but without cohesion in their team composition or cohesion in their calls, they end up getting picked a lot. Zen has made good plays, but on his own, that's not gonna benefit his team in a larger scale.
Exactly, because there isn't necessarily anything wrong with their team composition, but their failed rotations in such a way that they weren't all together when they needed to be, such that even though there were good opportunities, possible ones, wherein they could have put up a good fight against Viridis Arcus, they just simply weren't prepared for it.
Oh, and the ult of Varus does whiff, and also the death sentence, but this Baron buff should still be able to get the tower.
Dennis Tsuchikiti does go into the fight, but there is a lot of heal coming in from the members, and General Articuno punishes Celestial Mikos, and basically 4 members of Azure Eagles have died, leaving only King of Motos to cry alone to bed.
And they're not even gonna try to take this top inhibitor turret or inhibitor. They're pushing to end the game with 4 members down. There needs to be a miracle pentakill right now for them to save this game.
Ironically, there is a pause coming in, but let's be honest, you are just delaying the inevitable, because with Baron buff at their side and 4 members of the Azure Eagles down, only 1 is still flying, they're definitely going to take that game.
King of Motos has to pull up an amazing pentakill that will be seen for all generations in order to save this game.
Faker-like, huh? Faker-like, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that. So, while this pause is going on, do you feel like there was any point throughout the game, even before Baron, that Azure Eagles could have gotten back into the game?
I feel like, firstly, that tower dive in bot lane, they should have expected that when Motus knew that they weren't there, he shouldn't have tried to rotate. They should have just given up the turret immediately because they would have just lost kills and a turret in that regard. And it ended up making them lose the dragon and then the mid lane turret. They should have pushed advantages in other lanes, rotated smart, because it's not enough for you to get kills, right? Or a single outplays. You have to benefit your team holistically. And in that regards, I think they should have reacted more or preemptively react to the plays of Viridis Arcus.
Not only that, I feel like a lot of minion waves were frozen on the side of Azure Eagles. I feel like they froze both top lane and bot lane. Granted that freezing probably was done by Tenno in order to catch up on the CS deficit that he was experiencing because of the 3 consecutive ganks that have befallen on him. But I feel like at some point, you can't leave the Jinx alone anymore, and he should have pushed out the turret as much as he can, and they should have already started grouping up as a team, because there comes a point where you can't be alone anymore as an ADR, and they should have started rotating as a team, because that's exactly what Viridis Arcus did. Even when they had the advantage, as soon as they were able to secure the first tier bot lane turret of the Azure Eagles, they grouped up at mid lane, and they were able to get a lot of kills for themselves because the members of Azure Eagles were completely split up and they were picked off one by one.
Yeah, and this is what we've been talking about. It's really different when we were talking about it earlier. Like, it's really different solo queue versus competitive, because in solo queue it is a really good strategy to freeze the wave in order to catch up. But in this situation, when Jinx was trying to freeze the wave, they saw her doing it and ended up punishing her for it by rotating into the mid lane tower, getting the 5-man sieges versus around 3 people trying to defend that tower, which is such a high success for Viridis Arcus.
Yeah, or 2 people and one just coming in a little bit too late, because there were pings coming in from Fupi, who was trying to pack on as much CS as he could, but it was too late because all the members were picked off with all the properly landed death sentences and the succeeding tunneling and unburrowing coming in from Skirtle, from Viridis Arcus.
Yeah, so in this game, it seems like the shot calling from AZE was a little bit lacking, and also the vision coverage was a lot sacrificed trying to catch up with items, and that actually cost them a lot of kills, because when Zen actually managed to get a few kills in mid lane,
solo kills actually,
he didn't see any of the flanks, and he ended up trying to farm a little and getting killed by surprise ambushes from the sides because they had no vision coverage. I think in next game they should be able to try to adapt to this warding and counter warding strategy of Viridis Arcus and try to stop a lot of these rotations by preempting the rotation of Viridis Arcus and trying to counter rotate in other lanes.
Well, more often than not, it is often thought of that being a reactive team is worse than actually making the initiative. But the thing is, I feel like it could have been possible for the Azure Eagles to win, even if they weren't necessarily taking the initiative to make their own plays. I feel like if they were a little bit more organized and communicated with each other better, they could have handled these unexpected situations much better, because they reacted too late for anything to be done at that point. But the problem was, there's a threshold for when you are able to still make a difference by walking to your teammates who are at the other ends of the world. And I feel like that's what you mentioned earlier. As soon as it's too late, there is no point facing the enemy anymore. Sometimes you have to be more economic and efficient in a way where you push out the wave and try to get a turret and get a little bit of global gold for your team in order to make up for the kills that you have given to the enemy team.
Definitely. And instead of telling your teammates, wait, I'm coming, if it's too late already, just tell them to back off. It's okay to sacrifice those early gold advantages. Okay, you can have this mid lane turret, because that rotation comes at the opportunity cost of sacrificing multiple waves in the mid lane. For example, if the mid laner moves to bot lane, just tell them to back off, sacrifice that turret, and maybe get another turret and CS on top of that. So it was questionable calls coming from AZE.
Now, let's talk about also the rotations from the supports, because I noticed that a lot of them actually haven't, at least in terms of the Thresh, he's just been rotating with the Mordekaiser together and not even leaving him alone in lane, compared to what happened for the Azure Eagles, because the Jinx was left alone and Celestial Mikosh just went off, but it wasn't successful anymore.
Yeah, and because Jinx was so far behind that Celestial Mikosh couldn't really do the roaming that he's accustomed to, that we've seen in previous games, right? We see that in this particular game, Jinx was constantly being punished for being alone, and he couldn't even freeze the wave. So it was really smart play from Viridis Arcus, a little bit reminiscent of that Faker game where he tried to play the LeBlanc in the MSI finals and was completely countered by EDG by picking the Morgana and a lot of these comps. So they expected Tenno to pick the Jinx and reacted accordingly with both strategy and picks.
Exactly. And now we're going to see if the Azure Eagles will be able to take all their mistakes into consideration and come up with a new game plan at this point and try to take the second game versus the Viridis Arcus. And I really do want to talk about how what strategy they're going to be doing if the Azure Eagles will still even try to even make Tano use Jinx again.
It's possible. I mean, it's not necessarily that the Jinx immediately lost them the game, but rather I feel like it was the strategy that accompanied Jinx. You have to sacrifice to some extent a lot of early game pressure in order to help your teammate become successful in the game. So in the first game, we saw that they were trying to do normal laning phases, normal rotations, trying to have Jinx maybe good on her own. But the Jinx wasn't necessarily the bad pick, but more of the rotation and how they played around it.
So nice. Now guys, we're going to take a 3-minute break before we get into game 2 of this grand finals match. So once again, if you guys have any shoutouts and questions, please put them on the chat box of the Twitch channel, and we're gonna see you in a bit.
Yeah, just hold on, guys.